The San Antonio Spurs defeated the LA Clippers 116 to 112. I have to say, as a Spurs fan, this win was up there with the wins against OKC this season as being the best win of the season. I tie it with all the games that the Spurs beat OKC. It meant a lot. It really did. And the reason why I feel like this game meant a lot because I felt since Kawhi left the Spurs, there's been like this dark cloud over the organization starting in 2018 when he did the BS he did. And we can all say it was BS now looking back on what we know about Kawhi. But after 2018, it felt like a long, long time for the Spurs to be in what I call like the dark ages of like the history of the franchise. It was 6 real long years of not making any progress, losing, losing, and just being worse than the year prior. And even when they drafted Victor in 2023, it didn't get better immediately. During his rookie season, they only won 20 games. They ended up getting Stephon Castle in that draft, which allowed for them to then start making some improvement along with trading for De'Aaron Fox. But man, that 6 year period was hell. And you can say I'm selfish because as Spurs fans, we haven't suffered as much as other franchises, but it was painful. And I blamed Kawhi pretty much for like that horrible, horrible era for those 6 years that it all happened because of the Bush League stunt he pulled on the Spurs. And that's why I would say this game meant a lot. To me, it was the former face of the franchise going up against the current face of the franchise. And keep in mind, Kawhi has always made it his mission whenever he plays the Spurs to go off on them, to give it his all. I remember them saying during the game that he had won like 8 straight against the Spurs, and his stats were just ridiculous compared to anybody else when it came to going up against their former team. So he always played with this ridiculous vendetta against the Spurs. This game was no different. Also, Victor in his career had never gone a win against Kawhi. So I think Kawhi always felt good about that secretly, that he could still beat the Spurs even with Victor, just to show the fans like, hey, I'm still number one against you guys. I'm still better than the new guy you got. So I think this game was huge and like just shifting the tide, I would say, to finally saying to Kawhi, like, hey, we're finally over you. We got our guy. We're back to being elite again after what you put us through. That's what it felt like, that we're now back at that level that you once got us to several years ago. Then you just abandoned the team for your own selfish pursuits. That's what I felt like this was in this game, that the Spurs were finally to break free of his grip, his mental grip, his complete ownage. And it was just great to see because in this game, the Spurs were down by 25 points at one point in time, and Kawhi was just exerting his will. It was just frustrating to watch. On top of that, I felt like Brook Lopez was playing out of his ass in this game. He was playing like he was like Dirk Nowitzki, like prime Nowitzki, having some turn back the clock game. Heck, not even prime Brook Lopez would play consistent like this, and like he did in this game. He was posting up and hitting threes. He was just playing out his ass. And keep in mind, in this game, Lopez only had one 20-point game for the whole entire season prior to this game. So this was a fluke game by him. So pair that with Kawhi going nuclear. It was very frustrating. The Spurs were struggling. They couldn't hit their 3-point shots at the beginning of the game. They were just shooting very poorly. Credit to the Clippers defense that they were crowding the paint and forcing the Spurs to shoot threes, and the Spurs just couldn't convert. Stephon Castle was completely shut down by Kawhi in this game, but he still had some positives. He rebounded well. He got 8 rebounds, 8 assists, but his turnovers were bad. But I'll give him credit for showing hustle throughout the game despite Kawhi just locking him down completely. But going back to this game, it was a struggle in the first half, and it just didn't look promising. And then heading into the third quarter, it was still a struggle. They got up. I think they at halftime they were up only 20, and then they got up to 25 points, and I was just shaking my head like, this sucks. This really sucks ass. And then Julian Champagny went off in the third quarter. He had a ton of threes. He must have had like 5 3-pointers in that third quarter that turned the game into the Spurs' favor, that sparked a big run for Spurs to get back into it. And by the end of that quarter, I think they were only down like 10 or 12. So the momentum was shifting. And then in the fourth quarter, they just started to build up on that momentum. And Victor was incredible in this game. He played only 22 minutes. He was playing on a minutes restriction since it's back-to-back. But he had like 27 points and above 50% shooting from the field and close to 50% shooting from three. Just an amazing game, along with like 4 blocks. This guy was huge whenever he was in the game. And you could tell he was giving it his all on both ends of the court. The fourth quarter really got interesting towards the end. Now, I do want to give also Carter Bryant a lot of credit in this game, because when he was on the court in the fourth quarter, he made some great defensive plays. He was able to frustrate Kawhi a few times, and it really did make the difference. He trapped Kawhi, and he had one crucial block against Brook Lopez. So he was big, also hitting a clutch 3 in the final, I think, 3 minutes of the game, which is huge for a rookie under pressure. So I just want to give him that credit. It may not show up in the box score, but he was like plus 11. That shows you how impactful his defense was, despite only having 5 points. So he was big defensively with his trapping. And then late in the fourth quarter is really when it got interesting, because it was like a back and forth game between the Spurs, and Kawhi was hitting a lot of clutch shots, and he was trying to will his team to win this game. And it looked like he was going to do that. And the Spurs still hung strong, punching back, hitting a bunch of clutch shots of their own. I think Victor had like a clutch 3 that put them up by 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look that up. Just want to find that. I don't know why they're not allowing me to find the play-by-play. Usually I can find it. I really hate ESPN's website. Let me just look for it. But yeah, it was like late in the fourth quarter that Victor hit a 3. Yeah, it happened with like 1 minute and 8 seconds left. The Spurs are down by 1. Victor hits a 3. They go up 111 to 109. And then a crucial play happens where Derrick Jones drives to the hole. Victor contests it. I thought Victor had verticality on that play, but they still called it bullshit and one play, which put the Clippers up by 1 because Derrick Jones hit the free throw. So that's when the game got interesting, because after that play, Victor, I'm trying to see what happens. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox misses a 3-pointer when the Spurs are down 112 to 111. It doesn't look good. The Clippers get the ball with 19 some seconds left. Victor guards Kawhi at the top of the key, forces him to miss a 3-point shot, and then sprints all the way down the court. And De'Aaron Fox grabs a rebound, tosses it all the way down there for a dunk to put the Spurs up by 1, which was huge. And then after that play, Clippers call a timeout. They lose possession because Batum steps out of bounds. And the Spurs get the possession, and they call a timeout. Then they inbound the ball. They get it to Julian Champagny, and he misses both of the free throws, but he ends up getting the offensive rebound, passes to Stephon Castle, only makes one of his free throws, misses the next one, but is able to get the offensive rebound because the Clippers are so focused on Victor. They don't want him to grab the offensive rebound that Castle ends up getting his miss, puts it in there. Spurs win the game by 4 points. It was just an incredible sequence, but I felt this was like a gutsy victory. It was huge. It was kind of like, to me, like a reflection of how far the Spurs had come these 8 years since like Kawhi destroyed the franchise 8 years ago, and to just to be able to get this win, it was tremendous. And seeing Victor getting emotional at the end, I could tell he was exhausted. He looked like he was gonna cry when he hugged his teammates like they had won a game 7. And then hearing his interview at the end where he admitted that he was exhausted and he was nearly in tears because he felt he was gonna pass out from playing this game and the game the other night. So it was great to see. To me, it was kind of like the Spurs finally getting rid of the black cloud that's been over them for like the last 8 years with what Kawhi had done. Because whenever Kawhi would play them, it was just like a constant reminder of how he had risen above the franchise and was able to get away with what he did to them. And just to get the win was a big deal. To just reverse that, and then just to just establish how it's like a new era now that the Spurs are just finally over his ownage and what he's done, and they're moving forward. I think that to me was what it really reflected. But I don't have anything else to say. Just that this was a great win.